Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin.
What are you doing here, you idiot? My son told me that they bought this apartment for me. So get out of here, or I'll call the police, screamed the mother-in-law when I arrived with my belongings to my new apartment. It took me only 2 minutes to throw the trash out of my apartment. My husband was in complete shock from my further actions. And before we begin, I ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Laura woke up at 6 a.m. with a feeling that today her life would change dramatically. Outside the window, October rain was drizzling, but this didn't spoil her mood. Finally, she had the opportunity to buy her own apartment. Work at a pharmaceutical company had been bringing stable income for 8 years. Laura held the position of regional manager and received a decent salary, plus commission from sales. The accumulated money was enough for a 3-bedroom condo in the new residential development, Sunrise Heights. Her husband, Dennis, was still sleeping. He worked as a rideshare driver and usually got up by noon. Laura quietly got ready and went to meet with realtor Jennifer Thompson. The condo on the 7th floor amazed her with its layout. Spacious open-plan kitchen and living room, 2 separate bedrooms, walk-in closets, and 2 balconies. The windows faced a children's playground and a small park. Exactly what Laura had dreamed of. Excellent choice, smiled the realtor. The building was completed 2 months ago. All utilities are new. The developer is reliable. Laura carefully inspected every corner. The quality of the finishing was impressive. Hardwood floors, built-in wardrobes, crown molding. The price was also suitable, $380,000. I can make a deposit today, said Laura. I have the entire necessary amount. Jennifer nodded and took out documents. Laura carefully studied each page. No hidden pitfalls were discovered. The owner was selling the condo due to moving to another city. I end the evening. Laura told Dennis about the find. Her husband sat in the kitchen eating takeout Chinese food. I see, he muttered without looking up from his container. Why do you need such a big place? What do you mean why? We plan to expand our living space. There will be room for a nursery here. Dennis shrugged and turned on the TV. The discussion ended before it began. The next day, Laura called the bank and learned the mortgage terms. The down payment was 20%. She had more than enough, $150,000. The rest could be taken as a loan at 6.5% annually. But then Laura recalculated the family budget and realized she could manage without a loan. Savings plus some investments covered the full cost of the condo. Why pay interest to the bank? That same evening, Laura met with the seller. Robert Johnson turned out to be a pleasant middle-aged man. He worked for an oil company and was indeed moving to Houston for work reasons. I need to sell quickly, he explained. I'm ready to lower the price to $370,000 if the deal goes through this week. Laura agreed. Saving $10,000 was a pleasant bonus. They agreed to meet on Friday to sign the purchase agreement. A T-home. Laura recalculated the finances once more. Everything worked out perfectly. There was $390,000 in her account. After the purchase, $20,000 would remain for initial repairs and furnishing. Dennis learned about the deal on the eve of signing. Laura was preparing documents when he returned from work. What's this? Asked the husband, looking into the folder. Tomorrow I'm signing the condo purchase agreement. Remember I told you. Dennis's face changed. He suddenly became very serious. Wait, why without me? We're married. Because I'm buying with my own money. Why do you need to participate? But I'm your husband, Dennis was indignant. How does this look? The wife buys real estate, and the husband doesn't even know. Laura was surprised by such a reaction. Usually Dennis didn't show much interest in family matters. You do know. I told you several times. Telling and consulting are different things. We need to put both our names on the deed. Why? Laura sincerely didn't understand. I'm paying my money, so I'm the owner. Dennis began to get nervous, pacing around the kitchen, waving his hands. You don't understand. If the condo is only in your name, then in case of divorce, I'll be left with nothing. But we're not planning to divorce. We're not planning to, agreed Laura. Then what difference does it make whose name is on the deed? This argument put Dennis in a dead end. He was silent, then tried another tactic. Listen, maybe it's better to take a mortgage? Then I can also be on the loan as a co-borrower. Why pay the bank interest when I have the entire amount? Well, for convenience of the paperwork. Banks like it when both spouses are on the documents. Laura looked at her husband carefully. There was no logic in his words. Dennis, I'm not taking a loan. I'm buying with cash with my money. The condo will be registered in my name. The husband tried to argue more, but Laura was adamant. In the end, he gave up and went to watch TV, slamming the door on Friday morning. Laura arrived at the real estate office. Robert Johnson was already waiting with ready documents. Jennifer checked all certificates and disclosures. Everything is in order, she announced. We can sign the purchase agreement. Laura carefully read each point. Price, terms, obligations of the parties. Everything corresponded to the agreements. She signed and handed over earnest money of $50,000. We'll close in a week, said Robert Johnson. I need time to collect final documents. Laura nodded. A week was a normal time frame for closing preparation. Leaving the office, she encountered an unexpected sight. At the entrance stood Margaret Evans, Laura's mother-in-law. The woman looked confused and was looking around. Margaret, Laura was surprised. What are you doing here? The mother-in-law flinched, as if caught doing something forbidden. Oh, Laura, honey, what a coincidence, she said too cheerfully. I'm here on errands. What errands? Well, looking at a condo for a friend. She asked me to help with the choice. Laura frowned. Something about her mother-in-law's behavior seemed strange. Where is this friend? She's sick. Asked me to go alone and look at options. At that moment, Jennifer came out of the office. Mrs. Evans, the realtor was pleased. Did you come to check on your son's progress? Laura felt the ground slipping from under her feet. What progress? She asked quietly. Jennifer became confused, realizing she had said too much. Well, Dennis asked to show several options. Dennis is my husband. Yes, he came with his mother to look at condos. Very particular, by the way. Rejected many options. Laura turned to her mother-in-law. Margaret stood red-faced. Explain what's happening, demanded Laura. Laura, honey, don't be upset. Dennis just wanted to help Mom with the choice. He understands real estate. Understands? Laura was amazed. A rideshare driver understands real estate. Well, he's interested. Reads listings, studies the market. Laura turned to the realtor. Jennifer, when exactly did my husband come with his mother? On Monday, then on Tuesday. I showed them 5 properties. Monday and Tuesday. Exactly on those days Laura was looking for a condo independently. It turns out Dennis was simultaneously taking his mother to the same properties. And what did he say? That he was looking for a suitable option for Mom. Budget up to $400,000. Laura's head spun. $400,000. Exactly how much she had saved. And this condo that I'm buying, did he look at it too? Jennifer hesitated. Yes, he came on Wednesday. Said the option was interesting, but needed to think more. Everything fell into place. Dennis didn't just know about her plans, he was secretly looking for the same condo for his mother. Mrs. Evans, Laura said coldly, are you planning to buy a condo? Me? No, of course not. I don't have that kind of money. Then why was Dennis showing you options? The mother-in-law hesitated, clearly making up an explanation. He was just interested. Men like to study the real estate market. Laura realized they wouldn't tell her the truth. After saying goodbye to the realtor, she headed to her car. The mother-in-law hurried after her. "Laura, honey, don't make a big deal out of nothing. Dennis meant well." "Well, for whom?" Laura turned around. "For everyone, for the family." Laura got in the car and drove away without answering Dot on the way home. Thoughts swarmed in her head. Why did Dennis need to secretly take his mother around condos? And why did he insist on joint ownership? At home, her husband wasn't there. Laura walked around the apartment trying to find any documents or notes. In the desk drawer, she discovered a notebook with addresses and phone numbers of realtors. Dennis was indeed studying the real estate market, but not for himself. In the evening, her husband returned at the usual time. Laura met him in the kitchen. "How was work?" he asked casually. "Fine. Signed the purchase agreement." "Good." Dennis nodded and went to the bathroom, and no interest in details, as if buying a condo didn't concern him at all. Tea dinner. Laura decided to test her suspicions. "Listen, doesn't your mother want to upgrade her living situation?" Dennis choked on his food. "Why are you asking?" "Just curious. She lives alone in that small apartment. Maybe she wants something bigger." "I don't know. We haven't discussed it." A lie. Laura felt it instinctively. And if she had money, would she buy a new place? Where would she get money? Dennis laughed nervously. "Her social security isn't much." "Well, hypothetically, if someone helped financially." Dennis put down his fork and looked at his wife attentively. "What are these questions about?" "Just thinking about the future. We're buying a new place. Maybe we should think about parents, too." "My parents can take care of themselves." Laura didn't insist further, but now she was sure Dennis was hiding something. The next day, she decided to check her suspicions. She called the bank and asked if any family members had applied for a loan with her as co-signer. It turned out they hadn't. Then Laura contacted a friend who worked at the same bank. "Marina, can you unofficially check if anyone inquired about a loan in my name?" "Hold on." Marina was typing. "There's one inquiry. Yesterday a man called. Said he was your husband. Asked about mortgage terms for $400,000. What exactly did he want to know?" "Down payment amount, interest rate, required documents. And he was also interested in whether a loan could be issued to the wife if the husband acts as co-borrower." Laura felt cold inside. Dennis was planning to take a mortgage in her name. Did he leave contact info? Phone number. Said he'd call back to submit an application. Laura wrote down the number. It was Dennis's phone. Now the picture became clear. Her husband wanted to take a loan in her name, buy a condo, and put himself on the deed as co-borrower, and then apparently give it to his mother. But the plan failed because Laura decided to buy with cash in the evening. Dennis came home in a bad mood. "How was work?" asked Laura. "Fine," the husband muttered. "Haven't you thought about a mortgage for the condo?" Dennis froze. "What mortgage?" "Well, you called the bank yesterday, asked about loan terms." Her husband's face turned red. "How do you know?" "Doesn't matter. What matters is why you did it." Dennis was silent, then tried to justify himself. "Just curious. You never know. Maybe you'll change your mind about the cash purchase." "Change my mind for what?" "For convenience. A loan gives certain tax benefits." "What benefits?" "Well, mortgage interest deduction, for example." Laura smirked. "The mortgage interest deduction doesn't offset the interest payments." "Dennis, don't lie. Why do you need a mortgage in my name?" The husband began to get angry. "What's with the interrogation? Can't I inquire about loan terms?" "You can, but usually people are interested in loans for themselves. You were asking how to get a mortgage for your wife." Dennis realized he was caught. He was silent for several seconds. then suddenly exploded. Yes, I wanted to get a loan. So what? We're married, we should make financial decisions together. What do you need the loan for? For our needs. What specific needs? Dennis fell silent again. Laura realized there would only be lies from here on. The following week, the closing took place. Laura arrived at the title company with the full amount via wire transfer. Robert Johnson handed over the keys and deed to the condo. Congratulations on your purchase, smiled Jennifer. Excellent choice. Laura was happy. Finally, she had her own place. Now she could plan the move and renovations to end the evening. She told Dennis about completing the purchase. Her husband listened silently, but Laura noticed a strange expression on his face. Not joy and not relief, but some kind of disappointment. When are we moving? He asked. In a month. Need to do some updating. I see. Dennis said nothing more, went to his room, and didn't come out until morning. The next day, Laura went to the new condo to measure for furniture purchases. She went up to the 7th floor, used her key, opened the door, and was stunned. In the entryway were unfamiliar shoes. Voices came from the kitchen. Laura quietly walked down the hallway and looked into the living room. At the counter sat Margaret and was having coffee with some unfamiliar woman. Of course, the condo is wonderful, the mother-in-law was saying. Dennis is such a thoughtful son for choosing this particular unit. And when are you planning to move in permanently? Asked the stranger. Soon. Just need to finalize all the paperwork. Laura felt a chill run down her spine. Her mother-in-law was telling someone that she was moving into her condo. Margaret, Laura said loudly, entering the room. Both women jumped from surprise. Laura, honey, the mother-in-law stammered. How did you get in? This is my condo. I have the right to be here, but your presence requires explanation. I'm just showing Nancy. She's a neighbor, interested in the floor plan. Laura looked at the stranger. The woman of about 60 looked embarrassed. Nancy, which unit are you from? 7C, the neighbor answered. I see. And what exactly was Margaret telling you? That she's soon moving into this condo. We're going to be neighbors. Laura turned to her mother-in-law. Margaret, how do you have keys to my condo? Dennis gave them, she admitted. Said I could come sometimes to check on things. When did he give you the keys? Yesterday evening. So right after Laura told him about completing the purchase, Dennis gave the keys to his mother, and she was already telling neighbors about her move. And what were you saying about Dennis choosing the condo? The mother-in-law blushed. Well, he helped with the selection. Helped whom? You, of course. Laura turned to Nancy. Sorry, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. Margaret is not moving into this condo. I will be living here with my husband. The neighbor looked at the mother-in-law in surprise. But you said, I said I would sometimes visit the kids. Margaret quickly corrected herself. Laura escorted Nancy to the door, then returned to her mother-in-law. Explain what's happening. Nothing special, just checking out the condo and telling the neighbor about moving. I didn't say anything like that. I heard with my own ears. Margaret realized denial was useless. Laura, honey, don't be upset. Dennis just said you wouldn't mind if I sometimes stayed here. Stayed for what? Well, when you travel, so the place doesn't stay empty. Laura didn't believe a single word. Margaret, give me the keys. What keys? The ones Dennis gave you. The mother-in-law reluctantly took a set of keys from her purse. But Dennis said, I don't care what Dennis said. This is my condo and I decide who gets keys. Laura took the keys and escorted her mother-in-law to the door. I end the evening at home. A confrontation awaited her. Dennis learned about what happened from his mother and was furious. How could you kick out my mother? I didn't kick anyone out, just took back the keys to my condo. Why didn't you tell me you gave her keys without my permission? Because this is my condo, and you needed to ask permission from me, not assume it yourself. Dennis turned red with anger. We're married. My mother has rights. Your mother has no rights to my condo. Yours. Dennis repeated. And what am I? My husband. But that doesn't give you the right to make decisions about my property. Dennis paced around the kitchen, gesturing wildly. This is wrong. Spouses should make decisions together. Then why did you secretly take your mother to look at condos? Why did you call the bank to ask about a loan in my name? Why did you give keys without my consent? Each question cornered Dennis. He understood he was caught lying. I wanted what's best, he finally muttered. Best for whom? For everyone. Explain specifically. Dennis was silent, then unexpectedly told the truth. Mom dreams of a new place. Her apartment is old, needs updating. And here's such an opportunity. What opportunity? Well, you're buying a big condo. We could help Mom. I should buy a condo for your mother with my money. Not for her, for all of us. Mom could live with us. Laura was amazed at such audacity. Dennis, I bought a condo for our family, for the two of us and future children. What does your mother have to do with it? She's family. She's your family. I have my own parents. Your parents live in Ohio and aren't planning to move here. Thank goodness. I don't want to live with parents, neither with yours nor with mine. Dennis realized he couldn't persuade his wife, but didn't want to give up. Then let's sell this condo and buy two smaller ones. One for us, another for Mom. With what money? The same $370,000 will be enough for two smaller places. Laura shook her head. Dennis, I'm not going to buy a condo for your mother. Period. Why are you so selfish? The husband suddenly blurted out. Laura felt anger boiling inside her. Selfish? I spend my money on what I consider necessary. This is called financial responsibility, not selfishness. You have plenty of money. You can help family. I am helping family. I'm buying us a home. Isn't Mom family? Your mother is an adult woman. Let her take care of herself. Dennis fell silent, realizing further argument was useless. But 2 days later, Laura learned the story had a continuation. Her friend Kim called her. Listen, is it true that you bought a condo for Dennis and his mom? What? Laura was stunned. Who told you that? I ran into Margaret at the grocery store. She happily announced that she's soon moving to a new condo that her kids gave her for her 60th birthday. Laura's head spun. Her mother-in-law continued spreading false information. Kim, nobody gave anybody anything. I bought a condo for myself. Strange. Margaret spoke, so confidently even gave the address. After the conversation, Laura realized she needed to urgently go to the new condo and check what was happening there. Her premonitions were the worst. Reaching Sunrise Heights, she immediately noticed oddities. A moving truck stood by the building. 2 movers were carrying out an old couch. Laura went up to the 7th floor and was stunned. The door to her condo was wide open. From the hallway came voices and sounds of furniture being moved. She went inside and saw a picture that left her speechless. In the entryway stood Margaret's, shoes neatly arranged. Her coat hung on a hook, and the smell of soup came from the kitchen. What's happening here? Laura asked loudly. Her mother-in-law looked out of the kitchen, wearing an apron with a wooden spoon in her hand. Oh, Laura, honey, she exclaimed with fake joy. How wonderful that you stopped by. I'm just making soup. Margaret, explain what you're doing in my condo. In your own. Dear, in your own, the mother-in-law corrected. Dennis explained. They bought this condo for me. Laura felt a wave of cold run down her spine. Say that again. Dennis said you decided to give me a gift for my birthday. Buy a new condo. I'm so touched by your generosity. Margaret, this is a misunderstanding. I bought the condo for myself and my husband. The mother-in-law's face instantly changed. The welcoming smile was replaced by a cold look. I don't understand what you're talking about. Dennis clearly explained this is my gift. Dennis was wrong or lied. The condo belongs to me. It's in my name, bought with my money. What are you making up? Margaret was indignant. What do you mean, your money? Dennis told me he saved specifically for Mom. Laura realized her mother-in-law sincerely believed what she was saying. Dennis lied so convincingly that his mother believed every word. Margaret, show me the condo documents. What documents? Purchase agreement, deed. If the condo is yours, you should have documents. The mother-in-law hesitated. Dennis said the paperwork would take time. For now, all documents are with him. Dennis doesn't have any documents. Here's my purchase agreement. Laura took a folder from her purse. Read it. Margaret reluctantly took the documents and scanned the pages. Her face gradually paled. This can't be, she muttered. Dennis lied. The condo is mine, and I demand you immediately leave the premises. The mother-in-law threw down the documents and straightened up. I'm not leaving. Dennis said this condo is for me. I've been preparing for the move for a month. Your problem. Pack your things and leave. I won't leave, Margaret screamed. This is my condo. Your home is your apartment, and here you are trespassing. The mother-in-law turned red with anger. How dare you talk to me like that? I'm your husband's mother. And that doesn't give you the right to occupy someone else's property. Someone else's. Margaret shrieked. Who are you? Dennis is my son. Everything he has belongs to me too. Dennis has nothing. This condo belongs to me, personally. You're lying. Dennis couldn't deceive his own mother like that. Laura took out her phone. I'll call Dennis now. Let him explain the situation himself. Don't you dare! Margaret screamed and grabbed the phone from Laura's hands. You won't turn my son against his mother. Give me back the phone. I won't give it back. Get out of here. This is my condo. Laura tried to get the phone back, but Margaret backed toward the window. What are you doing here, you idiot? My son told me they bought this condo for me. So get out of here, or I'll call the police, the mother-in-law screamed. Such audacity took Laura's breath away, but she quickly pulled herself together. Perfect. Call the police. We'll find out who's here illegally. Laura took out a backup phone and called 911. Margaret paled. Hello, I need an officer at Sunrise Heights, Unit 7B. I have someone trespassing in my condo. What have you done? The mother-in-law hissed. What I should have done earlier. It took me only 2 minutes to get the trash out of my condo. 20 minutes later, Officer Johnson arrived. Laura showed him the condo documents and deed. Everything is clear, he nodded. Ma'am, you are unlawfully in someone else's residence. You need to leave. But my son said. Margaret began to justify herself. I don't care what anyone said. Legal documents don't lie. At that moment, out of breath, Dennis burst into the condo. What's happening here? He asked, looking around at everyone. Your wife is throwing me out of my own condo, his mother complained. Dennis looked at Laura, then at the police officer. Officer, there's a misunderstanding here. My mother is just temporarily. No misunderstandings, the officer interrupted. The condo belongs to your wife. Documents are in order. Your mother must leave the premises. But I told Mom she could. What exactly did you tell her? Laura asked coldly. Dennis hesitated. He realized he was caught. I thought we'd work it out. Work out what? Well, Mom could stay here until her birthday, and then we'd figure something out. Did you seriously think I'd agree to such a thing? Why not? The condo is big. Laura realized her husband sincerely thought he could make decisions about her property. Dennis, you have no rights to this condo, so you can't make decisions about it. But we're married. Marriage doesn't mean automatic shared ownership. The officer looked at his watch impatiently. Ma'am, gather your belongings. I have other calls. Margaret realized arguing was useless and began packing her things with tears in her eyes. How can this be, Dennis? She sobbed. You promised. Mom, just wait. We'll figure something out. Figure out what? I already told everyone about the new condo. You'll say plans changed. What embarrassment! The mother-in-law cried. Laura watched this scene silently. She felt no pity for her mother-in-law. The woman was to blame for what happened. When Margaret packed her things, the officer escorted her out. And don't come back without the owner's permission, he warned. Only Laura and Dennis remained. The husband sat on a box, looking miserable. Why did you call the police? He asked. And why did you bring your mother here without my permission? I thought you'd understand. What exactly should I understand? Mom has nowhere else to go. Her birthday is coming up. I wanted to do something nice. At my expense. We're married. Stop with the we're married. Laura exploded. If we're married, why do you make decisions behind my back? Dennis hung his head. I wanted to surprise you. What surprise? Give my condo to your mother. Not give. Just let her stay there. And then what? She wouldn't have left. Why wouldn't she leave? Because it's convenient. New condo. Good neighborhood. Why return to an old apartment? Dennis realized his wife was right. His mother really wasn't planning to go anywhere. Laura, let's find a compromise. What compromise? Mom could visit. Sometimes spend the night. She cannot. Why? Because I said so. But she's family. Your family, not mine. Dennis tried to appeal to sympathy. Her birthday is coming up, 60 years. I wanted to celebrate here. Rent a party room. With what money? With your own. I don't have that kind of money. Then celebrate at her place. There's not enough room there. Invite fewer people. Dennis realized he couldn't persuade his wife, but made one more attempt. Laura, Mom already told everyone about the new condo. Now she's embarrassed. She should be glad I'm not pressing charges for trespassing. What trespassing? Breaking and entering. It's a felony. Dennis paled. You won't file charges. Not yet, but if your mother shows up here again, I'll immediately call the DA's office. Okay, I'll explain to her. Explain immediately that she won't get any money from me either. What money? For a loan, for renovations, for anything. I'm not going to support your family. Dennis wanted to object, but Laura stopped him. The conversation is over. Go to your mother, calm her down. And you? I'm staying here. I'll inspect my condo. Dennis left with his head down. Laura remained alone and began touring the premises. The picture was depressing. Her mother-in-law had managed to settle in thoroughly. Her clothes hung in the closet. Her toiletries were in the bathroom. Her food filled the refrigerator. But the most unpleasant discovery awaited in the bedroom. Documents lay on the bed. Laura looked through them and gasped. A resignation letter from Margaret's part-time job. An application for early Social Security benefits. A cruise booking confirmation. Her mother-in-law wasn't just planning to move. She was dramatically changing her life, counting on support from her son and daughter-in-law. Laura took out her phone and called Dennis. Your mother quit her job. Silence. Dennis, I'm asking, did your mother quit her job? Yes, the husband answered quietly. Why? She wanted to enjoy retirement. Enjoy it on what money? I promised to help. With your income of $2,500 a month. Well, I thought you'd help too. I won't help support your mother. But she already quit. Let her find another job. Who will hire her at 60? Not my problem. Laura hung up and continued the inspection. In the entryway, she found another surprise. A lease application with the building management. It turned out Dennis had submitted paperwork to add his mother as an authorized resident. He indicated that his wife agreed. Laura photographed the document and called the building management. Good afternoon. This is Laura Evans, owner of Unit 7B in Sunrise Heights. Who authorized adding Margaret Evans to my lease? Your husband submitted the paperwork, the manager answered. Said you agreed. I didn't agree to anything. I'm withdrawing the application. Understood. We'll update our records now. And also, if anyone tries to get duplicate keys to my unit, call me personally. Will do. We'll make a note. Laura hung up and thought. Dennis turned out to be much more calculating than she thought. He planned everything in advance, prepared documents, arranged with building management. But worst of all, he sincerely believed he had the right to make decisions about her property. The building intercom rang. Laura answered it. Who's there? Locksmith service. Need to change locks. I didn't call a locksmith. Dennis Evans submitted a work order. Said new locks needed to be installed. Laura realized her husband was trying to get access to the condo again through locksmiths. I'm canceling the work order. I'm the owner. I make the decisions. The locksmiths left, but returned an hour later with Dennis. Laura, open up. The husband knocked on the door. We need to talk. Talk from out there. Through the door? That's ridiculous. It works for me. Laura, I'm your husband. I have the right to enter. What right? The condo is mine. I make the decisions. But we're married. Marriage doesn't mean automatic access to someone else's property. Dennis knocked for another half hour, then gave up. The locksmiths left empty-handed. I end the evening. Laura returned to their old apartment. Dennis wasn't home, but on the table lay a note. Went to Mom's. Don't know when I'll be back. Laura crumpled up the note and threw it in the trash. My husband was in complete shock from my further actions. But this was only the beginning. For a week, Dennis didn't appear at home. Laura enjoyed the peace and quiet. No one demanded explanations, didn't make scenes, didn't interfere in her business. She actively engaged in furnishing the new condo, ordered furniture, hired an interior designer, chose window treatments and light fixtures. Life was getting better exactly as she wanted. But the calm ended when a process server came to her office with court papers. Dennis was filing for divorce and division of marital assets. He demanded recognition of the condo as marital property and allocation of half to him. Laura read the document twice. The lawsuit claimed that funds from both spouses were used to purchase the condo. Dennis allegedly contributed $150,000 from personal savings, $150,000, from a husband earning $2,500 a month. Laura studied the attached documents. A bank statement showing Dennis withdrew $150,000 the day before the condo purchase. A receipt from Laura acknowledging receipt of this money. The receipt was in her handwriting. Laura carefully examined the document. The handwriting was indeed very similar to her own. Someone had carefully forged the signature. She photographed all the documents and sent them to a handwriting expert she knew. The answer came in 2 days. The signature was not made by you. High degree of imitation, but there are characteristic differences. So Dennis had been preparing for the legal battle in advance, forging documents, moving money around. Laura hired attorney Patricia Williams, a woman with 25 years' experience and a stellar reputation. The case is straightforward, the lawyer concluded after studying the materials. You have all documentation about purchasing the condo with your own funds, income tax returns, bank statements, the purchase agreement. Your husband only has forgeries. But what if the court believes his documents? It won't. We'll subpoena complete banking records for your husband for the last 5 years. It will become clear where the $150,000 came from. Patricia was right. When the bank provided statements from Dennis's accounts, an interesting picture emerged. $150,000 really did appear in his account the day before the condo purchase, and on the same day was transferred back to the same sender. The sender turned out to be one Amanda Rodriguez. Who is this? Laura asked the lawyer. Let's find out. Patricia made several calls. Interesting. Amanda Rodriguez, 28 years old, works as a medical assistant, lives in the suburbs. Why would she transfer money to my husband? Let's investigate. A week later, the picture became clear. A private investigator hired by Patricia brought photographs. In the pictures, Dennis was embracing an unfamiliar woman outside a daycare center. 2 small children were nearby, a boy and girl about 3 and 4 years old. Meet Amanda Rodriguez, said the investigator. Your husband's girlfriend. They've been together for 3 years. The children are his. Laura's heart sank. How is this possible? Dennis is home most evenings. Not all evenings. Weekends he's with her. Tells you he's working extra, driving for rideshare. Laura remembered. Indeed, on Saturdays and Sundays Dennis often left for the whole day. He explained he was making extra money with Uber. The kids were born 18 months apart. Dennis acknowledged paternity, pays child support through the state. Child support. Laura was stunned. What child support? Court ordered $800 per month for each child. Laura felt the world spinning. Her husband wasn't just cheating. He had a second family with children. How long have they been together? Since they met. They met 3 years ago. She moved in with him into a rental within months. And does Amanda know about me? She knows. Dennis told her he was married to a wealthy woman for convenience. Supposedly a marriage of convenience for financial stability and immigration status. Laura came home and collapsed on the couch. Everything fell into place. Dennis wasn't planning to give the condo to his mother. He was planning to get rid of his wife and move Amanda and the children there. His mother was just a smokescreen, a convenient excuse for fights and divorce. The next day, Laura went to Amanda Rodriguez. She found the address through the investigator and drove to the suburbs. Amanda lived in a small rental house. Laura walked up and rang the doorbell that a pretty young woman with a toddler on her hip opened the door. Are you looking for me? She was surprised. I'm Laura, Dennis Evans's wife. Amanda's face changed. She shifted the child and invited her inside. Come in. I was wondering when this conversation would happen. They sat at the kitchen table. A boy peeked out from the living room. He looked exactly like Dennis. The children definitely look like their father, Laura noted. Very much. Especially Jake, Amanda pointed to the boy. Dennis adores them. Tell me how this all began. Amanda made coffee and began her story. They met at a gas station 3 years ago. Dennis was filling up his car. They started talking. He immediately said he was married for convenience to an older, wealthy woman for financial stability. A green card marriage. I'm older by 2 years, Laura said indignantly. He said by 10, and that you basically support him while he puts up with it for the benefits. Laura smirked. Dennis painted himself as a victim of circumstances. And when were the children born? Jake is 3, Emma is 2. Dennis was so happy. Said he'd soon divorce and we'd get married for real. And what prevented it? The housing situation. He explained that if he divorced right away, he'd lose everything. First needed to get his share of assets. Laura understood her husband's logic. He planned to divorce, fight for half the marital assets, and use that money to support his second family. And the recent condo purchase. Dennis said it was perfect timing. His wife bought an expensive place he could claim half. There'd be enough money for a nice house for us. And where does his mother fit in? What mother? Amanda was confused. Margaret, his mother. Oh, her. Dennis said his mother would help him in the divorce. Would testify that you're a bad wife. Testify about what? That you don't take care of him, spend money frivolously, don't want children. Laura shook her head. Dennis and his mother had been plotting against her. Amanda, did you know Dennis promised the condo to his mother? That's impossible. He was planning to move us there. Very possible. A week ago, I had to throw his mother out of the new condo. She thought it was hers. Amanda went pale. So he was lying to me too. Seems that way. But why? He loves the kids. Loving children and actually supporting them are different things. Amanda thought, then took out her phone and showed text messages with Dennis. Look here. He wrote that we'd soon move to the new place. Laura read the message. Dennis indeed promised Amanda a move, but at the same time was telling his mother the condo was for her. So he was deceiving us both, Amanda realized. Exactly. But then what was he really planning? I think he wanted to sell the condo, take the money, and leave all of us with nothing. Amanda started crying. How could I be so stupid? I waited 3 years for him to divorce. He never planned to divorce. It was convenient having 2 families. Where did the money for the fake documents come from? Probably saved from his various schemes. Amanda wiped her tears. What do we do now? You live your life, raise the kids, and demand proper child support from Dennis. And what will you do? Divorce him and forget this nightmare. Laura said goodbye to Amanda and left. But 2 days later, the woman called her. Laura, can we meet? I found out something about Dennis. They met at a coffee shop. Amanda looked anxious. I confronted his mother, she began. With Margaret? Yes. I told her the truth about our family. And how did she react? First she didn't believe it. Then she broke down crying. Turns out Dennis lied to her too. About what? About why he needed the condo. He told his mother you couldn't have children, and the condo was needed so she could help him in his old age. Laura was shocked. Couldn't have children? Yes, and that you waste money instead of thinking about family. That's why he wanted to divorce and find a proper wife. So Margaret thought she was helping her son get rid of a bad wife. Exactly. She genuinely thought she was doing the right thing. Laura reflected. So Margaret was also a victim of Dennis's lies. And what did she say when she learned the truth? That she'll never trust her son again and is willing to testify for you in court. Testify how? Tell the truth about what Dennis planned, to deceive everyone, you, me, and her. A week later, the court hearing took place. Dennis came with a lawyer looking confident. Your Honor, declared his attorney, my client contributed substantially to acquiring the marital residence and deserves half. Patricia stood up. Objection. We have evidence of document forgery. She presented the handwriting analysis and Dennis's complete banking records. As shown in the evidence, money appeared in defendant's account and was returned the same day. There was no contribution to the purchase. Dennis's lawyer tried to object, but the judge studied all the evidence. Mr. Evans, where did you get $150,000 with an income of $30,000 per year? Dennis hesitated. Saved it, worked extra jobs. You saved $12,500 per month for a year. What did you live on? My wife supported me. I see. And the receipt for receiving money from your wife. Did she write it herself? Here Patricia stood up. Your Honor, may I call witnesses? Amanda entered with the children and Margaret. Ms. Rodriguez, please describe your relationship with the defendant. Amanda detailed their 3-year relationship, the children, and Dennis's promises. He said he'd divorce his wife and move us to the new condo. Dennis's face turned gray. Mrs. Evans Sr., what did your son promise you? Patricia addressed the mother-in-law. Margaret straightened up. That the new condo would be mine and that his wife agreed to give it to me as a birthday gift. Did you know about your son's second family? No, I learned only last week. And how did you feel about this information? I realized that my son deceived all of us, his wife, this young woman, and me. The judge listened to all witnesses and retired to deliberate. Dennis sat looking ashamed. His lawyer whispered something to him, but he didn't respond. 30 minutes later, the judge returned. The court finds that defendant did not contribute funds to the condo purchase. Documents about money transfer are falsified. The petition is denied in its entirety. Dennis lost not only the case, but both families. Amanda filed for increased child support. Margaret refused to speak to him. Laura filed for divorce and peacefully moved to the new condo a month later. Her former mother-in-law visited her. Actually, already former mother-in-law. Laura, honey, forgive a foolish old woman, said Margaret. I believed my son and made terrible mistakes. It's okay. You were deceived too. How did this happen? I raised him to be honest. People sometimes change or show their true nature. What will happen to him now? I don't know and don't want to know. Margaret found part-time work at a retail store. Amanda obtained increased child support of $1,200 per child through court. Dennis rented a studio apartment and worked extra jobs to pay support to 2 families. Laura sometimes saw him around town. He looked older and tired, tried to approach her, but she walked past. Her new life was going well. Work brought income and satisfaction. The condo was decorated to her taste. No one demanded explanations, created drama, or interfered in her personal business. 6 months after the divorce, flowers were delivered to her office. The note read, I'm sorry, I want to come back. Dennis. Laura threw the flowers in the trash without reading the full note. The next day, Dennis was waiting by her building. Laura, please talk to me. There's nothing to talk about. I've changed. I understand my mistakes. Too late. Give me a chance to make it right. You have children to take care of. But I love you. Laura stopped and looked at her ex-husband. Dennis, you only love yourself. You always have. Everyone else to you is just a tool to get what you want. That's not true. It absolutely is. You used me for money. Amanda for children. Your mother as an ally against your wife. Dennis hung his head. I'll change. You won't change because you don't think you did anything wrong. You're not sorry you lied. You're sorry you got caught. Laura walked away without looking back. Dennis never bothered her again. A year later, she learned her ex-husband had married Amanda. They made it official for the children's sake. Margaret occasionally called, checking in and sharing news. Dennis and his new family were renting a small apartment across town, barely scraping by. And how are you, Laura, honey? Do you miss being married? Not at all. I live peacefully. Maybe you should meet someone new. Maybe. For now, I'm happy alone. And that was the truth. Laura enjoyed her freedom, independence, and the right to make her own decisions. She didn't support anyone, didn't answer to anyone, didn't share her space with anyone. Her story didn't end with a fairy tale happy ending, but with a realistic conclusion. Sometimes being alone is better than bad company, and being true to yourself is more valuable than any compromise.